Whenever you're ready. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to Wednesday Wisdom Share Sacred Practices. We're glad you're all here tonight. Yay! Thanks, everybody. We're so excited to have Ann here tonight to share her amazing wisdom and insight. And I know she has a beautiful soul. I know we're all going to be inspired just by her presence, let alone what she's going to be sharing with us to kind of move through and break through these comfort zones that we sometimes find ourselves in, no matter how much we think we're growing, right? So we'll look forward to that. So, so we're really excited this evening. You know, actually tonight is our last night of Wednesday Night Wisdom Share Sacred Practices. For a while, we decided we're going to put a little hiatus, and we're going to maybe like a couple months just to kind of give it some space to reimagine it and see what else wants to come together. We did a beautiful visioning process at the beginning of the year, so we're going to probably incorporating some of that, but we just kind of wanted to change it up and give it some space. So we'll be doing that again. We'll let you know in about next month or two. This Friday night, by the way, I'm doing a sound bath called True Love, Oneness Immersion. And it's going to be a sound bath and helping us kind of create and co-create and align in the vibration of true love, a love that has no conditions, a love that has no attachments. And we're going to kind of go to that space vibrationally through the guided meditation, mantra, and of course the sounds. So we're really excited. So please come Friday night at 6 p.m. Bring a yoga mat and a blanket, and we'll see you there if you can make it. So other than that, any other announcements you can think of? Anybody? No? Okay. Come on Sunday. Don't forget to come on Sunday. We have a wonderful Sunday service here every Sunday. So come at 10:30. We do have always appreciate your loving offerings and support for our beautiful spiritual community, for all that we do here. Jeff is going to put up online there the text to give information. And so we appreciate anything you can share with us. We know that we're a philosophy and that as we give, so shall we receive. And so that's the way we support our beautiful community. So thank you so much for that. So I like to start just with a little bit of a guided centering practice just to help us get settled and centered. So I invite you wherever you are, whether you're here in this room or whether you're at home, I'd like to invite you to just give yourself some space to stop everything and to be here now. Just taking a few conscious breaths now as we put down all of our distractions in our head or our hands and just give ourselves this opportunity to be fully present, breathing this breath right here, right now. And as we quiet and still the mind, we align in the sanctuary of peace, a place of refuge within. It is in this place that we align with this ground and depth of this divine presence and the ancient wisdom that is already within us. I know that each one here this evening will receive exactly what our soul needs to hear for our own growth, our own evolution, and the expansion of our consciousness. As we give great thanks for this precious opportunity to come together this evening, knowing that we are all creating a sacred space, a sacred circle, wherever you find yourself, whether you're here in person or online. I know that we're creating this sacred energy and sacred space for all of us to receive exactly what our soul needs to know and to hear. And so it is in this place of alignment that we open up our minds, our hearts, and our soul to receive. I know that Anne is also in perfect alignment with His divine presence, and it comes through her in beautiful ways. All that she's done to prepare for this evening, and it comes through in unexpected ways that we know that the divine presence is working in her, as her, and through her. And so for this we give great thanks, knowing it is already done in mind. And so we release this now, we let Spirit have its way, and we claim it as so by saying, and so it is. I'd like to invite Anne up to begin your share. I'm so excited you came all the way. Where'd you come up from?
Arrowhead.
She came all the way from Lake Arrowhead. So in the mountains, in the snow. So
Yeah.
She's really, really trekked, had a trek to get here. So thank you so much for being here. So thank you. Yay.
We got some hecklers in the crowd here. Wow. Okay, so at home and here, before I even go into my talk today, I'd like you to stand up and put your hands out as far as you can. And then I want you to bring them together and clasp your fingers. Awesome. All right. So notice which thumb you had on top. Did you have your left or your right? Right. Okay, your left. Awesome. Now I want you to do that again. Like now I want you to put your opposite thumb on top this time. So bring your hands together, put your opposite thumb on top. How does that feel? A little awkward, right? Because we're so used to doing things the same way all the time. But I do have to tell you, there was a study that was done a long time ago, and they said that those who had their right thumb on top were sexy. And those who had their left thumb on top were smart. But those who had both thumbs together, guess what? They were sexy and smart. Hey. All right. So for those of you here and at home, you might have felt a little discomfort, right, when you tried to forcefully put your opposite thumb on top. And it's the same way we fold our arms. Usually it's the same way, the way we sit in our chairs, you know. Sometimes even people will sit at the same seat every time they come to the spiritual center or go to a concert. You end up sitting in the same place. So what I want to talk tonight about are comfort zones. And then I want to talk about growth zones, and then we'll touch on scary zones a little bit. So our comfort zone is something we do every day, right? We brush our teeth the same way. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, you do it the same way every day. You brush your hair the same way. You put on your pants first or your blouse first or whatever it is. So we do all these things the same way every day, and these things become our comfort zone. Now, taking it a step further, our relationships, the way we deal with people at work, the way we deal with people in our relationships, the way we deal with the rest of the world, everything we do, our interaction, the habits and behaviors we have, we love to live in that little comfort zone, don't we? It feels good, right? But a comfort zone, so I went through the dictionary, the online dictionary, and it said, a comfort zone is a psychological state in which things feel familiar to a person and that they are at ease and in control of their environment. So to me, that was the big word that stood out for me, was control, right? And there are three psychological states: the comfort zone, the optimal zone or the growth zone, and then what I call the scary zone. So, like I just said, the comfort zone encompasses all the things we do every day in our lives, right? So, just by putting your thumb on top, I could sense a little bit of discomfort there. But can you imagine if every day you forcefully made yourself brush your teeth with your left hand if you normally do it with your right, or maybe not have your cup of coffee, or maybe hold your cup in your other hand, instead of the one you normally do. All of these things begin to feel a little uncomfortable to us, right? And that's what I want to get into today, like how we can be a little uncomfortable stepping outside of our comfort zone, but how that's a good thing. So this, like I said, this has to do with thoughts, beliefs, habits, behaviors, everything. Every day we do the same thing. We have pretty much the same thoughts. I know I do. When I'm driving, it's like this reel playing in my head, the same thoughts about things, the same judgments about things. So one of the things I want to touch on is that our mind loves it when we create comfort zones. Our mind doesn't want to have to stop and go, oh, wait a minute. he or she is going to do something a little bit different now. When you've been doing this for the last 10 years the same way, and so now it becomes a comfortable habit and behavior. So as soon as you try to do something a little bit different, all of a sudden your brain just, there's confusion. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? I'm not used to this, right? So it becomes an automatic behavior, and that's what I call our comfort zone. So what happens in our growth zone? If we don't step outside our comfort zone, we don't grow, right? But in order to step into our growth zone, we have to step outside of our comfort zone and do things a little bit differently. And even just doing that, even for me, there was that little bit of like, I just stepped outside my comfort zone, right? And even coming up here speaking, even public speaking, a lot of times for a lot of us, that can be something a little bit outside our comfort zone. Or at least we feel some discomfort, but we learn how to work with that, right? So what do you think the biggest thing is that causes us to just stay in our comfort zones, in our little boxes? What would you say? Habits. Any other thoughts? Security, right? Okay, well, I would say fear, right? What keeps us in our comfort zone is fear. Fear of the unknown, right? Fear of the unknown. But once we know something and we find that comfort level in that space, the fear begins to dissipate. So really and truly, even though there's a lot more information here, what I would normally say is, in a very short sentence, is take a tiny little step. You know, there's a lot of fear about stepping outside our comfort zones. There's a lot of fear about stepping away from relationships that don't work anymore. There's a lot of fear. I know my friends who are fearful of getting on an airplane. You know I have a lot of friends who are fearful of going outside because they may catch something, right? I mean, and they literally stay in their house. I have friends who do that. But one of the things that I always suggest is one little step at a time. One little step at a time. So whether it's a relationship, whether it's fear of being outdoors because you're afraid of being around people, whatever it might be, just taking that one little step. And then what happens is, all of a sudden, your mind says, oh, this is not so bad. I think I can do this. And you stay there for a while once you take that little step, and then you take the next step. And then all of a sudden, you begin to notice a lot of different things going on in the monkey mind. So now you've moved a little bit beyond your fear. And what happens is that you have expanded your awareness. Because whenever we step outside our comfort zones, we are learning, we are growing, right? So by taking that step, all of a sudden, your awareness expands. And by this repetition, we find that this space, this new space that we're in, which I will call our growth zone, it just becomes more and more comfortable. So then our comfort zone is now expanded, right, into our growth zone. All right, so are there signs that tell us that it's time to grow, perhaps make changes in our lives? I'd have to say yes. Do you guys agree with me? Do you ever get signs like, hey, it's time to move on from this? And whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship or just in general in life, there are signs, right? And we know them. You know, we feel them, right? But do we always make the decision to change it? Again, because of fear, right? A fear of the unknown. You know, oh my God, what's going to happen? Now I'm not in this friendship or this relationship anymore. What's going to happen? Am I going to be lonely? You know, X, Y, and Z, all this stuff starts churning around in the monkey mind. And that's what keeps us in places where we should have probably a long time ago have taken that step outside, right? So a tiny little step. So, for instance, you're in a relationship and you're feeling, comfortable, and maybe you experience some mistrust because your partner has done something to bring this energy into the situation. And you know it, you're aware of it, but you're not just feeling the same way anymore, because now this energy has shifted, it's changed. And you are growing in awareness, because you have the awareness of what's going on, and you have kind of taken that little step, and you're expanding your awareness, but your partner is in that same space, doing the same things over and over again. And if you don't step outside your comfort zone and make some change, then you become stagnant. There is no growth. There is no growth in our comfort zone. All there is in our comfort zone is comfortable, right? So we need to move beyond our fears and make decisions that could force us to step outside our comfort zone. And sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes we don't even have a choice. Sometimes something dramatic happens and we are forced outside our comfort zones. So that can happen sometimes. And to me, when that happens, I call that the scary zone. So, we're going from comfort zone, instead of taking that little step and going into the growth zone, now all of a sudden we're catapulted into our scary zone, right? And we really don't want to go there. It's not the best place to be, unless you like being adventurous and jumping out of an airplane or scuba diving with sharks, which I've done. So I was young and foolish, okay? So sometimes, like I said, we can be just forced outside our comfort zones. But really what we want to do, again, is to take those tiny little steps. And one of the things I even do myself at home is I'll force myself to brush my teeth with my left hand instead of my right. I'll just change things around a little bit differently. And what I find over time is something shifts in your brain. Something shifts, something changes. And like I said earlier, our mind doesn't like that. It's like, wait a minute, what are you doing now? You're supposed to brush your teeth with your right hand. You're supposed to sit over there. You're making me process stuff. You're making me think. I was really comfortable in that space, doing the same thing over and over again. So even at home, you can do little things like that, to actually practice stepping outside your comfort zone. I mean, if I were to ask you right now to just move and sit somewhere else, just that movement is doing something, shifting something in your brain as well, because you're all comfortable where you are right now and at home. So maybe if you're at home, maybe you can move your chair a little bit, shift your chair, shift the way you sit in your chair. Just do something different than you always do.
By the way, I posted your
Oh,
on
okay. So this is posted.
It's posted on the Palm Springs, Center Spiritually Palm Springs page.
Awesome, beautiful. So folks at home should be able to see this. Wonderful. Okay. So this approach I just talked about can make it easier to step outside your comfort zone into your optimal or growth zone. However, there's situations, like I said, that it becomes necessary to just take that big step. It might be a situation where we could get into a car accident, or we're walking the places we normally walk on the trails, and all of a sudden there's this big bear walking towards us. And we're comfortable on our normal walk, and we have to kind of run up the side of a hill. I'm being a little extreme there, but these are some of the things that can shift you, like I said, way out into the scary zone. So I talked about being at work, sometimes your job, sometimes, when we volunteer for things. I mean, all of those things, we can get into those situations and have some sort of a comfortable space there. There's a comfort level. And then all of a sudden we find that, wait a minute, we're being asked to do way too much. Things are overwhelming. You know, these decisions and choices that are being made just doesn't fit anymore for me. And now I have to make a decision to step outside of that space, outside of that comfort zone. But, oh my gosh, I'm going to let all these people down. You know, so there's all this stuff that begins to go on in our minds, like, you know, I can't do this because I'm going to let these people down because they're depending on me, my community is depending on me, whatever it might be. But the truth is that if you, me, I, any of us who are in that position don't fess up and make that shift or make that change, we're going to become stagnant. And then what happens over time is that we find ourselves being upset with those people around us. You know, we come in and we're doing whatever it is we said we would do, but we're grumpy, you know, or we're just not into it. So always, always pay attention to when things get to a point where you're feeling discomfort, where you're feeling stagnant, where you're feeling like it's just not helping you to grow as a person anymore. And then you have to make that change. And other people might be hurt or be uncomfortable with that. But we have to take care of ourselves first before we take care of everyone else, right? So I talked about the scary zone, which is, we don't really want to go there. Not a lot of growth happens there, but who knows? Maybe for some of us, you know, jumping out of an airplane might take us way out there into the scary zone that becomes also a growth zone for us. But I'd like to share a personal experience where I had no choice about the big changes that were about to come into my life and how I dealt with it. So I grew up on a small island in a small village in the Caribbean, and living in a community with, you know, no electricity for a few years, walking to school bare feet, with no social media, but only sugarcane fields and a river was my playing field. But my mother knew that in order for the children to get a good education, that we would have to leave the islands. So at age 15, my parents and I, and 4 other siblings, packed our suitcases, we filled out all the forms, and we got on an airplane and with a bag in hand, and I think they had $1,000 in their pocket to start life all over again in America. But I remember stepping out of that airplane in the airport in Miami, and on the islands, you just smile at everyone, because everything's going to be okay, right? You know, that's the island motto anyway. Yeah, right. And so I remember doing that, and nobody smiled back. They thought I was up to something, or, you know, they just sort of gave me a look. And I remember crying and saying to my mom, I want to go home. Nobody here smiles at you. So this was a big step for me. I mean, I was pulled out of my comfort zone and thrown into, it wasn't just a growth zone. I would say it was just a bit of a scary zone, right? But my parents knew they had to do this, right? It was the best thing for us. So later on, as I went through life experiences and again being catapulted into this new way of life, a new culture, just everything. Everything was new, all the way down to flushing toilets. We didn't even have those where I grew up, right? And as those experiences, getting to know people, getting to know the culture, the foods, just everything around me was new. And one of the things I noticed, not at the time but years later, was what helped me to actually keep stepping outside my comfort zone and really growing and expanding my awareness was a sense of adventure. As a kid, I always had this sense of adventure. I was always the kid that said, hey, everybody, let's go down to the river and see if the alligator's there. And if he's not, we can go swimming. You know, just things like that. And I believe to this day that that energy is what has allowed me to survive being yanked out of my comfort zone and being thrown into a scary zone, actually. Now, I made mistakes. I had to learn some things the hard way, but I always looked at life as an adventure. And then I finally got to the point where I would say, wow, okay, this didn't feel so good, but what can I learn from this? Or this felt great, what can I learn from this? And so once I put that into motion, my comfort zone just kept expanding and my growth zone kept expanding. And so the point is, I feel that it comes down to perspective. It comes down to how we view things. And the most powerful thing that we have within all of us is that we get to choose. We get to choose how we want to view whatever it is on our plate. You know, whether it's we're ending a relationship, we're beginning one, we're ending a job, we're beginning a new, whatever it is, we get to choose how we view it, how we look at it. And by having that attitude and actually looking at everything, no matter what it is here to help us grow, to teach us. We're here to learn. We're in school. So by having that perception, by having that attitude, that's how we step outside our comfort zone with ease. And that's when we really learn and grow, and even sometimes stepping into the scary zone, making a choice to do that, right? So perhaps it has to do with perception. Are we looking at the disruption of the comfortable space we're in as fearful or as an opportunity to learn or to grow? So how we change, like I said, how we change our perception has to do with our beliefs and all the information we gathered along the way. And I know you know this. So this filing system, this hard drive, everything from birth, and some people believe even before, is in here, whether we remember it or not. All the experiences we have from the time we're born, it's all filed in here, right? So as an adult, when something happens in our life that might seem challenging, we respond to that from some of the information that was dropped into that filing system, from our beliefs, from all of those things that we gathered. And so we react to our lives from that space, right? So how can we change that? How can we shift that? Well, that's another 2-hour session, I think. Is it 2 hours, Peter? But yes, there are many tools, and one of them is hypnotherapy work. I use meditation and hypnotherapy, but it's a wonderful tool, a way to actually guide you into your own filing system, into your own hard drive, so that you can discover that information. You open that file up and you go, wow, that's why when something happens that challenges me, I panic. Or this is why when something happens that challenges me, I go, wow, what can I learn from this? That all comes from whatever we've gathered over the years, right? So what we need to do is go in there and shift those beliefs and perhaps replace them with some more positive ones. But that's just one way of changing our beliefs that allows us to change our perception and then our actions that we take in our lives. So we may not always have a choice as to the changes, but we definitely have a choice as to how we respond. So the question is, what are you choosing? Just food for thought. So what I'd like you guys to do right now that are here with me and at home, I believe you have this paper, and if you don't, just grab a pencil and a pad. And there are 3 circles. One is in the very center. It's your comfort zone. And then the one next to that is called our growth zone. And then the last one is our scary zone. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just hang on to that paper and that pencil. I'm going to give you a second to find that paper and that pad. And I'm just going to grab a sip of water. All right, everybody have paper and pencil? All right, so just go ahead and put that down for a second. And what I would like to do is take you through a little sort of combination of guided meditation, hypnotherapy combo. Because what I would like for you to do is to write from the comfort zone, the growth zone, and the scary zone right after we do the meditation, so that you're not just stopping and processing it and writing it from here. You're writing it from your heart, from your spirit, from your soul. Okay? So just go ahead and take a couple of really deep breaths. And always, always, when you take that first breath, even when you wake up in the morning, just say thank you. Thank you. Because obviously without that breath, we wouldn't be here. So as you breathe in right now, say thank you. And as you breathe out, say thank you for the opportunity to let go of what no longer serves you. And take a couple more breaths like that. Just breathing in gratitude and then releasing what no longer serves you, just letting it go. And now with this next breath, what I'd like you to do is to just sort of scan your body, starting from the top of your head and your facial muscles and into your neck. And as you take that breath in, you can send the intention that this breath is calm and relaxing. And as you breathe out, send the intention that you can release any tension, any tightness, anything that you might be holding on to. Just breathe it out and feel your facial muscles relax and feel your neck muscles relax. And with that next breath now of calm relaxation, just notice your shoulders, your arms, your chest. Is there any tightness? Are you holding on to anything? Because you know that all our emotions we hold in our body. But now is your chance to breathe it out and let it go. Feel your shoulders drop as you breathe out. Wonderful. And now bring your awareness to your upper back. And as you take the next breath of calm relaxation, just pay attention to any place in your spine, from your upper back all the way down to your lower back. And if you feel anything there that you're holding on to, just breathe it out. Just let it go. Good, and bring your awareness now to your hips. And I just want to say that our hips, as far as our emotions, when we are afraid of moving forward, moving out of something or moving forward in our lives, we might feel some discomfort and tension in our hips. So just notice. Notice if there's anything you're holding on to. And as you breathe out, just let it go. Let it go. And now bring your awareness to your thighs. And if there's any tension there at all, just breathe it out and release it. Wonderful. Bring your awareness now to your calves and all the way down to your toes and the soles of your feet. And this time what I want you to do is just be aware from the very top of your head to your shoulders, to your back, to your stomach, to your chest, your hips, your thighs, and your calves. And when you breathe out this time, breathe it out through the soles of your feet and give it to Grandmother Earth so that it can be transformed into calm relaxation. So one big breath, and this time releasing everything through the soles of your feet and into the earth. Wonderful. And if you notice any thoughts coming into your mind, just notice them. You don't have to react. You don't have to do anything about them right now. Just notice them. Become the observer of your thoughts. And little by little, they begin to dissipate as well. So as your body relaxes and your mind becomes calm and still, I'm going to count from 10 to 1, and I invite you to go a little bit deeper still. Go as far as you want to go. Going all the way down from 10, all the way down to 9, deeper now at 8, more relaxed at 7, deeper now at 6, all the way down to 5, all the way down to 4, even more relaxed at 3, all the way down to 2, and all the way down to 1, completely and deeply relaxed at 1. And in that place of no mind, no time, that calm, comfortable space, I'd like you to use your imagination for a moment, because our mind does not know the difference between real or imagined. And how powerful is that? This means that we have the power and the ability to imagine whatever it is we want in our lives. So I'd like you to use your imagination right now. And I'd like you to imagine that you are walking near the ocean. Maybe it's one you have been to before, or one that you can just imagine. But the weather is perfect. The sun is shining, and there's a cool breeze blowing. And you notice as you walk in the sand with your bare feet, that each step that you take, that you relax even more. There are no other thoughts, no concerns. You're just walking along the beach, feeling the sand between your toes, and hearing the sounds of the waves as they come up on the shore. So just keep walking along, feeling your feet in the sand, and listening to the sound of the waves, and feeling that breeze across your face as you relax in this beautiful space. And I'd like you to just stop for a moment and just look at the ocean. Just stop standing in the sand and look at the ocean. And look at how the waves come in to the shore, and sometimes you notice that it brings shells, pieces of driftwood come up on the shore with the waves. And then as the waves go out, you notice that it might take out some of those shells. And some of those rocks and driftwood go out to sea. But you are so wrapped up in that sound of the waves coming in and the waves going out. And you even look out at the horizon and you notice the vastness of that space. But you also realize something, that there is that vastness within you. There is that vastness within you. So as you stand there looking out at the ocean, I want you to think of something that you might be dealing with now in particular. And maybe a fear that's holding you back. So I want you to take a moment and bring up whatever it is, whatever challenge you might be having right now in life, whatever it might be. And you know that you have to move through it, or you have to move forward so that you don't become stagnant. And what I'd like you to do is to find a way that's comfortable for you, whether it's just your imagination and noticing it, or whether you suddenly have maybe a glass bottle in your hand and you can write on that piece of paper this fear that's been keeping you from moving into your growth zone, and you can put that piece of paper in the bottle. Or maybe there's a rock that represents that fear, and you can hold that rock in your hand. And what I want you to do right now is to say, thank you. Thank you for all that I've learned. Thank you for being in my life, because I know you served a purpose. Even though I didn't realize it then, and I may still not realize it now, every situation is here to teach me. So even in those painful moments, thank you. Just say thank you to that fear or that person or whatever it is that you're about to release. And so once you show gratitude, you can now release that fear into the ocean. And notice as the waves come up that it takes away that bottle with that piece of paper or that rock or however you imagine that fear or whatever it is that you need to now shift from to move forward. You can now release it. And release it right now as you say thank you and release it. Let it go. And watch as the waves take that way out into the ocean. And as you stand there, feeling that release in your body, feeling a lightness in your body, because you have now let go, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, something that no longer serves you. You have just released it. You have let it go. And take a breath and feel that lightness in your body. And you notice that whatever you released is now way out past the horizon, so you can't even see it anymore. But now, it might be a good idea to replace that space that you have just emptied. Maybe there's a little bit of a void there, and you can now replace it with something positive. So as you look out to sea, perhaps you can imagine something more powerful and positive and loving and joy and peace, whatever it is you would like to now replace. Whatever you let go, you can now replace it with something of your choosing that will serve you where you are right now in your life. And so allow the ocean to bring that towards you. And as the waves come up on the shore, and you can notice and feel, whether you see it, you imagine it, you feel it, go ahead and step into the waves, into the water, just in the shallow part of the water, and feel that water wash upon your feet. It's warm and comfortable. And you feel this new idea that you just created enter from the soles of your feet and into your body. You have now just taken in from the earth, from the ocean, this idea, this new way of being that will serve you currently where you are, through the soles of your feet and into your body, into your mind, into your soul, so that you have now embodied this new idea. And by releasing whatever fear, whatever you needed to let go of, and by replacing it with something new, you have just stepped outside your comfort zone, and you have just expanded your awareness. So in a moment, I am going to ask you to slowly come back from this beautiful space, from this sanctuary. But I want you to bring with you this new idea, this new feeling that you just created. You created it at the deepest level. So you get to bring that with you. So I'd like you to begin to walk back on the sand and begin to slowly journey back, still feeling calm and relaxed, feeling at peace, maybe even feeling some joy. And just slowly bringing your awareness back as I count from 1 to 10. Just slowly bringing your awareness up now from 1 to 2, coming all the way up to 3, and at 4, still feeling calm and relaxed, all the way up to 5 and 6, feeling that joy as you come all the way up to 7 and 8, and remembering this new idea, this new gift that you just gave yourself as you come all the way up to 9, and at 10, refreshed, calm and relaxed, and just open your eyes when you're ready. And now what I'd like you to do here and at home, if you could stay in that calm, relaxed space and write 3 things in your comfort zone, and if you were to move outside your comfort zone from those 3 things, write something in your growth zone. What would happen in your growth zone? So as an example, let's just say you need to quit a job that is not serving you anymore, but you've been there for 20 years, you're comfortable, you feel safe. And there's that fear of moving into your growth zone, to quitting your job, to moving away. That's just an example. And in the growth zone, you're going to write 3 things where you know that you will grow, you will expand your awareness, you will find joy, you will have an abundance of everything you need. So 3 things in your comfort zone, and then the 3 things that will happen in your growth zone if you were to move from that space. We'll just leave the scary zone for now. if you so choose, maybe you can put one thing in the scary zone. What if you took a big leap? How are we doing? I'm sorry, what was your name again? Steve. Would you care to share? Or, I mean, you guys don't have to, but would you care to share?
I'm happy to share, and I did lots.
Awesome.
So, can we do the microphone here?
Yeah. Thank you. I find when we can be open and speak to others about what we're working on, it's powerful.
All right. And I can even take my mask off.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is really timely, and thank you for being here tonight and helping us with this. In the fall of 2021, I felt like changes were coming in my life. I had no idea what they were, but I knew they were coming. Like a big period of change is coming. I just sensed it. And so I have 3 things that I'm actually working on, and they're all kind of happening at once. And in the first part, we were talking about taking one little step. I was like, what happens when it's a cha-cha, And there's like lots of little steps to take all at once,
Right.
And I have found that can be almost freezing a little bit,
Yes.
That there's so much that you cling to the comfort zone a little bit.
Right.
So anyways, I will share my thing. So my comfort zone, first one is selling my house.
Okay.
So I've had this house for 22 years, and it needs a lot of work, and I just don't feel like I'm the person to do the work. And
Right.
it has this beautiful view, and I'm very attached to the view.
Of course.
And so that's really the comfort zone, is that view.
By the way, thank you for sharing that because, leaving our homes can be a big deal sometimes.
Mhm.
That's.
So, yeah. But what will I do in the growth zone with selling the house? So first off, I put I'll be more social because I'm so self-conscious about the condition of my house. I don't have people over to share it and enjoy it. Even though when I break out of that comfort zone and they're, oh, your house is fine, but
Right.
it's interesting. That's a repetitive thing. I'll have less nagging anxiety about, oh, there's that sink that needs to be replaced, and this is that. So that will go away.
Right.
And that just opens me up to fresh energy. All that anxious energy and worrying about the house. It's very interesting. I hadn't thought about the changes that the house was part of them until one time in the fall. I was like, what if I sold the house?
Right.
Instantly in my heart, it was like, that would be just the greatest thing, to sell the house. Yeah,
Right.
So, and of course, 22 years of clutter in the house. And when I got to the reality, I'm like, oh, what do I have to do? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
look at all this. I want to shut that junk drawer and just forget about it, So that's one. So there, and I'm happy to share more, but we can also let other people share if they would like. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Did anybody else want to share? You're good? Would you like to share something, Mark?
Yeah. Let's see. Mine was just kind of sharing what my comfort zone was me sharing what I'm already sharing. That's how I'm comfortable sharing what I'm
Yeah,
sharing in the
okay.
world, in the work that I do. My growth zone is actually writing it and developing the curriculum, which is scary to me. And I have it kind of like written, but I got to put it together.
Yeah.
And to actually spend the time to actually do that, and it's something I'm actually working on. So that's my growth zone, is actually doing it, and then getting a podcast and getting the video classes done and all that. So I have no idea how to do any of that. So that's really stretching me, and I
That's
keep
great.
not doing it because I'm afraid. So and then the scary zone was to actually take like 4 months off.
You had a scary zone, okay.
Yeah. And just go to a beautiful space, a place, and get it done. It's scary and exciting, but then I don't know how I would handle it. So it's
Right.
So yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Wow. You know, yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing I love about the model is the fact that if you end up in the scary zone, you go through the growth zone to get back to the comfort zone.
That's right.
Yes. So,
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. Thank you. So what you just said was if you get to the scary zone, you have choices, right? You can step back a little bit to the growth zone or even all the way back to the comfort zone, you know. One of the things that I remember, I used to work with kids all over California at doing ropes courses and teaching them, leadership and all that kind of stuff. But I had to go through a training, and I'll never forget standing on this pole, a telephone pole, way up there, and the wind was blowing, the pole is shaking, and I am attached to a rope where people are holding me. But I remember being so scared. And I stood up there for 15 minutes, and I said, yeah, this was years ago, and I said, I'm not moving. I'm not moving, you know. And finally, when I looked down, I saw the support, the love, the caring from all the people. We've got you, and then I just took a breath and I just did it. So I want to share two things about that. That sometimes when we are about to step outside our comfort zones, we might want to look into our community for those people, friends, that can support us as we make those moves, as we make those changes. It's always good to have people around us that will support us in one way or another, emotionally or just, whatever, pat you on the back. And the other thing is that I've learned that once in a while, you just have to just do it. And that's why I was like what Nike came up with, just do it, because two things happen when I'm standing on that pole. It was like, okay, I know they're supporting me, but I'm still nervous about this. So just take a breath and just do it. And trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your spirit, your soul, your inner guidance, and anything else that you believe in. Trust that as you step outside your comfort zone, that you'll be okay. So, thank you all for being here and for playing with me. I do appreciate it. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Should I take this off or? Okay.
For coming. Thank you, Anna. It was awesome. That was really wonderful. Thanks for your consciousness, for your awareness, for your love, and it was very nurturing. The whole thing felt very nurturing and safe, actually, to get outside of the comfort zone. So that was good. I really needed to hear some of that. So thank you so much. My soul needed to hear that. My intellect doesn't want to do that stuff because I'm scared. But so good. So thank you so much. And so we'll keep you posted, everybody, on our Wisdom Share Sacred Practices moving forward. Again, we're going to take off a little hiatus here for a while, but we'll keep you posted. We'll keep our avenues open in Wisdom Share's Facebook page and on our CSL PS website and all that good stuff. So we'll keep you posted. And if you can, come Friday night for the sound bath. So anyway, thank you everybody. Make it a beautiful evening, and we'll see you around.